Outlaw Fantasy, big day in sports. And of course, we got a lot to talk about over this next 30, 40 minutes here on the show. Our apologies go out. Again, had some technical difficulties and some scheduling. Thompson Square will be with us on the Backstage Pass. Of course, we'll reschedule that at a later date. But you know what? The show must go on, and it's always fun to talk sports. And what is a big sports day here on the Backstage Pass and at the sportsguyspodcast.com. I told you the latest edition of Outlaw Fantasy was coming up, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our good friends over at MitchMax.com. Brandon Morrell, CJ Garton back in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up, y'all? Glad to be here. Glad to be part of the Outlaw Fantasy Podcast and
brother, this
is
fun.
Pass.
That's got it, man. Hey, out of the gate, we talk football. We got a lot about 30 minutes to talk about that. But hey, baseball is back. Holy crap! We didn't think we were going to have.
I've got my 3D glasses on. This right here is my future vision telling me that the future is going to be bright if you guys pay attention to what we say and what's coming up.
About as bright as that machine behind you, no doubt, too, with the spinning lights and everything there. And appreciate you. You hosted us again at CRS, man. We had a good time up there and always fun to just meet people and network and make some great contacts. But, hey, let's talk about this, a new 5-year deal for Major League Baseball, and definitely – to see the game come to some sort of peace a little bit for the next 5 years, labor agreement, not losing regular season games. They're going to play a full 162. No more watching the pitchers bat, the universal DH across the league now. And, of course, some international draft stuff and just making the game better for the younger players. I think this is a great deal for owners and players. And now, with the agreement being ratified at 5 o'clock today, 5 Central, 6 Eastern, players who were free agents, who were left on the market, can now begin signing with any team they like, and spring training starts next week, buddy.
That is amazing. Let me go ahead and get prepped. As you guys can see here, pardon the noise, pardon all the light. We're out here at Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D Glow Golf. My son had a birthday this weekend, and we've been enjoying that. So I stepped off for a quick minute. While they're finishing out their Glow Golf, we're going to go jump into the laser light room. So let me go ahead and get my professional football sports glasses on and switch.
I like that. Which is cool to be at,
all
right. At a place that
right.
does it. I like that. Yes.
Put these on for later.
Put them on for later. Yeah, Fields' birthday party coming up. But, this is just good to see because it's always cool to see it when it's you have a good sports month like October, and now we're coming toward the NBA playoffs in April. We've got March Madness, college basketball coming up next week with March Madness beginning, MLB firing off, the NFL with the combine, free agency next week starting next week for the NFL, and free agents can start talking to agents and their teams. And now NFL teams can begin shaping a 53-man roster. The draft at the end of April. This is going to be one hell of a sports month, man.
I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. We just got news that Khalil Mack was traded on a major, major trade to the Chargers. The combine was phenomenal. But, the most thing I'm excited about, above all things, football has got quite a few months coming, but we have ourselves our double vinyl album dropping tomorrow. We're so absolutely stoked, and we put a lot of hard work and effort into it. So, with baseball coming back, with this new album coming out, 20 songs, guys. The combine wrapped up. There's so many things that are taking effect. We're enjoying, 60, 70-degree weather today, but it might snow tomorrow. So there's so many things occurring in Nashville.
Yeah, I had to change hats today because I was like, I put the Cardinal hat down for a little bit, put the baseball hat back on because here in about 9 or 10 days, I'll be out in Arizona. I was questioning. I was like, should I go? Should I not? But we already had paid for the stuff. And I was like, I get to watch 2 or 3 games, watch the Giants, watch the Dodgers, check out the Texas Rangers, and right around the corner from everything, even with gas prices being as crazy as they are. But I'm going to take the family out there, enjoy a little spring training game, send you some pictures. And the weather you had today is going to be great in Scottsdale, 80 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. It's supposed to be beautiful in Scottsdale and Phoenix.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's just not something I'm looking forward to. I pray for all the people that have been under the weather, because it's like, can we get just a level of consistency?
I'd like to.
Anything. Yeah. I mean, gas prices are say they could spike all the way up to $8. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It's all about hype. It's all about this and that. But I tell you one thing we can talk about. We can talk about great music. We can talk about wonderful sports. We can talk about entertaining ourselves and how to always stay on top of the game.
Let me start with this too, because again, we talked about some of the things at the top, the universal DH, things like that. We're going to get to a little football here in the next 30 minutes, but I will say this, just great to have the game back. I'm a huge Astros fan. People that know me know that too. And it's good to have, fans going back to the ballparks. And I'll say this too, because the people question 99 days of a lockout too, coming this close to the regular season. You question the people that work behind the scenes. I feel for them. Concession workers, ushers, people that take tickets and show people to their seats, and people that have those jobs that they were wondering, we didn't know we were going to have those jobs until the lockout was over. And then, of course, both the owners and players got together, and we're going to do a fund to help them kind of pay their bills and things like that. Just good to see the economy open back up with baseball, jobs, ballparks, things like that. But the number one question on people's mind right now we know it's coming back next week, and players start report to camp this Sunday once the agreement is ratified at 5 o'clock today at 6 Eastern, is seeing where the number one free agent, Carlos Correa, is going to go. He's been an Astro for 6 years. I'm questioning right now because now that the baseball doesn't have a salary cap. It's called a competitive balance tax, which is kind of baseball's salary cap. It went up like about $15 million. So actually, you look at 30 teams now in baseball, they've got more wiggle room to sign Correa. Where do you think he's going? Is he returning to Houston?
I personally think that the way they have that set up, it does the amount that these guys are getting paid. I can't say that it's something that could be spread out more evenly, but I do see Houston being the place where he could be. But at the end of the day, it's just like we're watching Aaron Rodgers get a $200 million contract, 4 years. That's $50 million guaranteed. I mean, it's astounding the amount of money that's getting thrown at these guys. And as there's always a new contract coming up, there's always a next contract to beat, because that's what the next guy coming off of his contract is going to want. He's going to want to be the next top guy on the totem pole. So when are we going to actually find ourselves a cap, on that? I mean, when's there going to be a set amount where we kind of stop that and level out? Because at a certain point, it's going to get away from itself. With the economy, with the way things are, I personally, as the somebody who sings and stands for the working man, I like to see the people that are the ushers. I like to see the people out there getting raises. I like to see them getting their guarantees. So as much as I like contract talks to exist, I wish the best for those teams. I wish the best for those players. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, come on, let's share a little bit of that love with everybody out there. And, let's hopefully he goes to the place where he's most wanted by the fan base, where his heart is. Just like Mac, doing with the Chargers. Aaron Rodgers made a nice choice to stay there. I know I'm jumping back from baseball to football.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's one of those situations where no matter what game you're looking at, they're only going to do their best for you in the place where their heart's at and they're most wanted. They're going to feel the most love. And hopefully wherever they end up signing that big contract, they end up staying there, retiring, making it a legacy.
Yeah, and I'll get back to that too, because we got a couple of the big football notes and trades and things like that too. I think the number one free agent that comes off the board here, sticking with baseball, is, Freddie Freeman. The Braves, of course, beat Mastro's in the World Series last year too at the same time. And I'll say this, we didn't have Lance McCullers fully healthy. Justin Verlander now comes back, and he sent out one of those GIFs today on Twitter saying, "I'm ready. I'm getting to spring training." I was like, here we go. You're the opening day starter. You're the horse. Can't wait to see it. But I'd love to see Correa come back to Houston. Freddie Freeman, I think, has got some suitors already. If you don't go back to Atlanta, the Cubs, the Yankees, the Tampa Bay Rays, we're hearing already. So this is going to be nuts for baseball in the next 28 to 72 hours before players get to spring training. Hey, for football, let's go here because the trade happened about 2 days ago. Of course, it can't be announced till the new league year rolls over next week. Russell Wilson now to the Denver Broncos, changing that AFC West with some great quarterback play. And you look at this, giving up the farm to Seattle. And, of course, I'm a little surprised that Seattle wanted to move on 2 first, 2 second, a 4th, and I believe a 3rd was in there, too, at the same time, plus Drew Lock, plus Noah Fant. Holy crap, does the AFC West division change with Russell Wilson now a Denver Bronco?
3 words. They overpaid.
They did.
See, he agrees with me.
I do. I have to. That's a lot, because you think about that. If the Broncos gave up that, what do the Texans do giving up Deshaun Watson?
I get it. 10 years in the league, 9 Pro Bowls under your belt. But you cannot put all of that on coaching and the Seattle's team as a whole of how he played last year. He doesn't seem to have certain things that he has had those 9 years, those 10 years that he's in. The Broncos are wanting an instant win. That's what the Broncos are trying to buy out right now. What I would be looking at is Seattle has just given themselves the 9th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Who say that they can't walk away, even stepping up and taking the number 1 QB in this draft? And I saw some really nice guys on there. Pickett, Willis. I mean, those guys are ready to go. I mean, they are. They're playing good ball in the combine. I really think if that translates on the field, Seattle might surprise some people if they end up pulling a quarterback. Although I do know that there's a lot of quarterback-hungry teams right now. Detroit is sitting in the prime spot to be one of them. But, there's a lot of bartering, a lot of trading, and there's a lot going to be happening over the next week or two.
It's going to be fun. You mentioned Khalil Mack now to the Chargers. More deals are expected this weekend for preliminary deals until the 16th. The agents can begin talking to teams and reps and stuff like that and signing on the 20th when the New Year League rolls over there too. Hey, the Combine impressed me because, a lot of guys were there, and I looked at my board, had to go back and look at some guys. But I'll still say this, man. The guy's 6'6", 260 pounds, edge guy coming off the edge. And I think Jacksonville takes him at number 1. Aiden Hutchinson, the edge defensive end out of Michigan. The guy is a built-to-play 4-3 scheme kind of guy, 4-down lineman in a three linebacker set, and just great pass rushing moves, his agility. If you're Jacksonville and you need another piece to go on that defensive line, which was very, very weak last year against the run, are you taking Aiden Hutchinson number 1 out of Michigan?
Yeah, you should be. You need to be taking your number 1 guy if you're in need, and they're in need. We know that their defense is not doing nearly what it used to. Their offensive line struggled heavily last year protecting their quarterback, number 1 pick. And so if you're gonna make those picks, you're gonna season a rookie quarterback into being a mature quarterback. You need to build the team around them to succeed as well.
I like that too, and I'll say this for the Houston preliminary right now, made official next week when the league year is renewed and free agents can begin signing with the teams. You're the Texans right now, and you're sitting back, you're making phone calls, things like that, and you see 2 first-round picks that Denver gave Seattle to get Russ's services there as a Bronco. Can you imagine now Nick Caserio, the GM of the Texans, and head coach Lovie Smith going, I got 3 first in mind, have to. Watson's younger, more prime. Wherever he goes, he's under contract for 4 years after agreeing to a new deal with the Texans, making $40 million a year. I think wherever he goes, if you're Houston, you've got to jump into this first round. You've got the 3rd pick overall coming up. But if you're the Texans and you get a couple of more guys and have 3 first-round picks in this 22 draft and 1 in 23 in a couple of seconds, right now they got to look at that deal going, hey, we got the better quarterback. He's younger. He's got more time, a little bit more experience. He hadn't won a championship, but here's a guy that has a tremendous upside and a tremendous pedigree wherever he goes, Deshaun Watson.
I think right now we're a little premature talking about where Watson's going to go. I think he's going to have to clear up those legal issues, pleading the 5th on that entry, protecting himself. That's fine and all, but if there was nothing at all hidden about the agenda that was going on, he would have been able to speak freely on stand. That's also them just probably trying to protect their guy. The situation is people are going to still want them. A place that I see, and I'm playing the whole where's he going to go bet, but I can see Tampa Bay picking him up. They've been known to pick up trouble. They've been known to work with it. Like I said, just look how many chances they gave Antonio Brown last year, and with Brady walking away, it could be a ready-made Super Bowl contending team again with their lineup. They kept most of their players. If they can figure something out there, they might be somebody that's a reality for them, and that could be a big deal because you remember how well Watson played when he had all-star receivers, and now that you got a series of 2 or 3 of those guys, it's tough. Tennessee, I think Tannehill's locked into his contract. They gave him too much money, so we're not going to be getting into QB. And I'm looking at it. The Colts just gave up Wentz. There's a lot of opportunity, but you have to look at on the side where Watson wants to go too. Miami's supposed to be off the board. I think Tua played well enough for them not to worry about finding somebody else towards the end of the year, and hopefully they can keep up with that scheme because you see as they made him more versatile towards the end of the season, he became more useful as a QB. So with that being said, I don't. They said it was a very shallow quarterback combine, but I saw 5 or 6 guys that could go rounds 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget, Russell Wilson, I think went 3rd round.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at placement of where players go, it isn't always first round picks, your number 1, number 2 guys that come off the board that make an impact. It's those round 3, round 4, round 5 guys that surprise you, that earn that spot, that work like a dog, that are the underdogs. And, just like Kyler Murray is struggling in Arizona, who's to say where he's going to be? There's so much in the air. There's so much, so many players retiring that are legacy players, legendary players. We've lost quite a few quarterbacks that have been standards in the league the last 15 or 20 years. And now where are we at? We're starting with fresh blood. We're starting to have to look towards new guys. So being Watson, there's 100 homes for him to go. I say that, in a theory that he could be anywhere. You just don't know. But I do think that the Broncos over purchased for Wilson. And I think that Seattle's going to be very smart for taking those picks this year and really building a team around that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great. And of course, Drew Lock, he showed some flashes of brilliance in the past. And Noah Fant, one of the top tight ends in football, at least one of the youngest tight ends we've seen, could go out there and run a lot of great routes, make a lot of great catches there too. Going to come back and talk about a few more guys that hit my radar at the Combine. And of course, today at 5 o'clock, the new CBA goes through for Major League Baseball. We get players in camp on Sunday. And of course, coming back next week, spring training starts March 17th, the same day March Madness kicks off for college basketball. Man, I get your picks in now. Fill out your brackets. It's going to be a lot of fun. CJ Garton live, having fun at the golf center there with the lights behind him here. It's Outlaw Fantasy.
Dude, we got Dippin' Dots on delivery over here.
Oh, man. I wish I was there with you to get me some Dippin' Dots. It's on delivery.
Come on over here, Fields. This is why we're here right now. This is the reason why we're filming this behind the Dungeons & Dragons game room, or D&D.
Birthday. Happy birthday to him. We'll come back after a word from Bangtail Whiskey and Mitch Max here. It's Outlaw Fantasy. A lot more to talk about in the next 20 minutes of the show. We'll take you up till about 5 o'clock, and there's Dippin' Dots right there too, no doubt. Where's your favorite players going? If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment box. Engage, because we're also on CJ Garton's socials out there too at the same time. And I'm going to come back and talk about an impact player that could be taken at number 3 out of the University of Oregon, 6'4", 254 pounds, tremendous athletic guy. Great pass rusher, and a guy that covers a lot of ground, that being Kayvon Thibodeau out of the University of Oregon. I think an impact player the Houston Texans could add to their roster. Right now, a word from Bangtail Whiskey. It's Brandon and CJ. I wish I had some Dippin' Dots right now, but we'll settle for some Bangtail Whiskey. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here is Outlaw Fantasy. It's CJ Garton, live, having fun at the Golf Center, and, of course, all the arcade stuff, which I love doing here in town. Brandon Morrill. It's Outlaw Fantasy, again, presented by Bangtail whiskey and our good friends over at MitchMax.com for official Backstage Pass merchandise. Tomorrow is the double vinyl drop, and across all the digital platforms is a pre-save link on your page right now. It's been there for a while. We want people to go get a great, terrific album, which I had the luxury of hearing out there. You and I got to sit in a very comfortable hot tub and enjoy some good music. It's Tales of the Old West and Other Libations to Please the Palate. Great songs, guys, and I'm telling you right now, it's an album that is a must-have.
Man, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a combination of maybe the music and the hot tub, but I love
it is.
It is. It's got a whole vibe. I wish I could give everybody the hot tub listening party experience. That's the way to listen to music. Sit back, have a cold drink, a nice hot tub.
Yeah.
You know, when the weather's in the 50s like it's been, mid 50s, it's not too hot, not too cold. Set that sucker about 100 degrees and just lay there and let it do its work and let the music hopefully absorb as well. Because 20 songs, a lot of hard work. Joe Spivey, got to give a shout out to them, give a shout out to Hilo Digital Media, Brandon Morrell, everybody that's been a part, David Wade, all the people that have really helped us, Jesse Poe, our engineer over at Sound Kitchen. Everybody has been working hard and diligently every single day to help this succeed. And tomorrow is going to be the big day. Hopefully through the week we can climb that to #1 on iTunes charts on sales. But that's going to be up to everybody pre-ordering and basically pre-saving. And then whenever it does go on sale on the purchase, it's $12. We made $11.99 for the digital sale because we wanted everybody to have it. So you're getting 20 songs for $12 basically. And that's strictly because we want everybody to prove the record label's wrong. We want to prove to them that there is people who want to buy stuff whenever there's great songs. There's no fillers. It's all hits, or we wouldn't have them on there.
And y'all know this. He only puts pop in his whiskey, not his country. So I'm going to tell you right now, that is a tremendous album and a tremendous deal for the streaming services. And, of course, if you're going to a show this weekend, I got to see CJ perform up there at CRS in Nashville while my crew was there. And definitely a show you must see. And we're going to try to get some shows on the books coming up over the next few months, but you can purchase the album for $65. Get you a hard copy too of it out there if you're at a show, and it's definitely money well worth spent helping musicians get better. And like you said too, at the same time, man, y'all work very hard on this project, and I'm just extremely excited to be affiliated with it, no doubt. And definitely check it out, CJ Garton Music on Facebook, and of course everywhere out there on socials. And pre-save. Hey, look, looking at this, a couple of guys that really going to stick out to me. Back to some football talk. Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. This guy has great instincts, athleticism. He's 6'4", 220. And the other guy I'm going to talk about for the Texans at number 3, where it should be smart, is a guy that can make a lot of plays defensively for Lovie Smith. And Lovie Smith has a lot of great respect over his career in the NFL, too, at the same time. Kayvon Thibodeau, 6'4", 254, continues to be a name that comes up, too, as well. Another athletic kid. Most of those guys at the Combine are very athletic, too. He's got underrated power with speed. These two guys right here, beside Aiden Hutchinson, Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame, and Kayvon Thibodeau, talk about just the athleticism, what you saw, and, of course, what you've read about, too, at the same time. Two impact players that step into any starting lineup of any 32 NFL teams right now, of any one of the 32 teams, and makes a tremendous impact.
The impact from what I see has really made me stand out is their reaction time, the way that their feet work were in the Combine. As being a player who has the agility and the ability to move is an important thing. But when you stack that and put that on a refrigerator, as a body, that's a train. That's a fast train coming at you. And that's what I saw both those guys have the ability to do. And honestly, on the Combine as a whole, speed was basically the overall essence of this year's Combine. I mean, we saw wide receivers almost breaking records. We saw QBs who are out there, in the 4.39, 4.46, modes that are tearing it up. And then we turn on the defensive side. I think on the defense there's a broken records this year. Even one guy as a wide receiver almost broke John Ross's record. It was unofficial when he did. When it was official, he became a close second. But when you have that type of speed with that type of mass and body and agility and movement, those are game-changing players.
Let's do this. I'm going to run down the top 10 right now. I mean, obviously, Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston have the top 3. The Jets, the Giants, Carolina, Now you look at New York in that 7th spot too. Atlanta, and of course now Seattle at 9 that you mentioned took over Denver's because Denver gave up the pick. And then you look at the number 10 pick now being the Jets right there. So that's your top 10 with 3 of the top 10 changing. Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, the Jets, the Giants, Carolina, the Giants again at 5 and 7, Atlanta at 8, Seattle at 9 from the Russell Wilson deal. And then you look at the Jets at 10, Washington 11, Minnesota 12. It's going to be fun because any one of those guys I mentioned right there between Kayvon Thibodeau and Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. And then you've got to look at this because a lot of teams are going to be looking at revamping their offensive line. Evan Neal, the offensive tackle, is 6'7", dude, 337 out of Alabama, and a blocking force in the NFL, ultra athletic at the same time. He can handle great pass rushers. So Aaron Donald, hate to say a rookie's going to step in and stop that too at the same time. But, I mean, this guy can move defenders out of the way for the running game. So I like what I saw from Evan Neal, the offensive tackle at Alabama.
And this is my thing too, is if I'm really making a first-round pick, my money's on him to be the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, Neal.
Yeah, because – and the reason why is because you've got to protect your QB. You got to protect Lawrence. And the thing is, though, is we've had ourselves a crazy debacle of players that have been running for their lives. What's up, everybody?
I think, and you got to look at this too, because offensive line is going to be there. We mentioned Neal, but also Ike Ikenwanu, another offensive tackle out of NC State, 6'4", 310. And I mean, he shot up boards. He's got a great run blocking ability too at the same time. And I think that's another one of those guys that he's a left tackle. That's another guy you're going to look in the top 10 too. Derek Stingley, the corner out of LSU, and Charles Cross, another offensive lineman out of Mississippi State. So this may not be the biggest quarterback-driven draft we've seen in the past. You know, the Sam Darnolds, the Joe Burrows, and people like that too that have come out and impacted their franchise in the first year. But when you look at this being a lot of teams have to fix the offensive line side, defensive line side, key holes at linebacker, whether they run a 3-4 or 4-3 scheme. This is going to be a fun draft for positional skill guys that can come in and impact rosters.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's a whole lot of skilled players. I think there's a lot of teams that are involved right now. But ultimately, anything can change when it comes down to that clock ticking. I think there's going to be a lot of trades that are going to dynamically change who's coming off the board. Right now, we all have an idea. But I think Pittsburgh Steelers are going to play strong. I think they're going to come in and try to get them a good QB. Because and so I don't know whose position they're going to take. I think Seattle might move up. All these quarterback need players are great, but we know these offensive linemen. We know these guys. These guys are in this draft. There's a lot of them available. There's a lot of players. So I think those players are going to come off the board and feed the needs for people like Jacksonville, people who have weak lines. Honestly, I'd like to see Tennessee make a move because they just got rid of Saffold. And we're hurting for a good, strong offensive line. You want to complain about Tannehill's playability? Well, don't go complaining about his abilities if you don't give him a good line to protect him as a QB so he can have time to get the ball out there. Derrick Henry's not going to carry that entire team. No. I want to see people really have value in these offensive linemen that are available this year. And I want to see them go early, and I want to see them go fast because I know that the people that do take a point and make it a point in there, whether it be the GM, whether it be the coaching staff, I want them to go in there and prove that they have enough sense to build a good offensive team to protect their QBs that they put so much money and effort into.
A couple other guys on the offensive side that I saw in the combine that impressed me. Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa, 6'7", 325. So look out for that too at the same time. High floor, powerful frame, no doubt. And I guarantee you it was pretty good to see him rep that 225 for so many times too that we've heard in the past that most of the players can do that from the weightlifting standpoint. Overpowered the competition when I saw some of that on NFL Network too at the same time. And also Tyler Linderbaum, the center out of Iowa, 6'2", 296. Always a need for good centers in the league too at the same time. Good interior blocker. I like the way he moved his feet and just run blocking skills and some good intelligence. They were talking about this at the combine too with the coverage that went on with NFL Network too. This guy's a kind of a fixture. Anytime you get offensive linemen, Tony Baselli, players like that in the past that have meant so much to their team, these guys have a good IQ for the game. And part of that thing at the combine, is kind of a rookie symposium, telling players and getting players to understand the money of the game, what you're getting signed to, rookie contracts, on-field behavior, off-field behavior, things like that, what you can and can't do, the do's and don'ts. So, I mean, again, any one of these guys, the top 10, can change the landscape of a franchise, but it's so important they have a great IQ of the game, too, at the same time, right?
Yeah. Look at Burrow. Burrow's IQ outdid Andrew Luck, they said, whenever he's doing combine study. And that's why I banked on him so much the last couple of years. Everybody kind of laughed at me, and he went to the Super Bowl. So, it goes to show that you might be a physical entity that could be a huge game changer. But if it ain't right up here, none of the rest of that's going to work. So if you can find a guy who's level-headed, got some maturity underneath his belt for as young as he is, because these guys coming into the game are young. And if you can take that, you can take somebody who's responsible and take responsibility of where they're at in the NFL to just get to the NFL. It's hard enough. Now to maintain, that's a mental game. Stepping into the big lights, that's a mental game. So, yeah, that's very, very important. But that being said, guys, I could be on here all day talking to you, Brandon. I believe that I'm being summoned to Glow Golf. It is time to go rejoice and celebrate this young man's birthday some more.
Well,
we had a wonderful time.
We did. It was great to meet him, no doubt, too, at the same time. And I know you had to run, too. Glad we got the show in because there was so much to talk about. We'll do it again next week. Baseball signings, March Madness, and, of course, the NFL free agency period. I cannot wait to see where the two wide receivers from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, go at the same time out there, too, because both guys could be game changers. The Denver Broncos, where do they go moving forward? Quarterback changes, all kind of stuff out there, too, at the same time. And looking forward to the MLB regular season. And your double vinyl tomorrow.
Yes. I've already got my ticket to the show. I'm ready to go. Are y'all ready?
We'll ready. See you guys coming up next week. More regular episodes of Outlaw Fantasy. And, of course, on the Backstage Pass tomorrow, big show, John Oates of the world-famous Hall & Oates coming on the show here at 4 o'clock. We know we'll have him coming up to, tomorrow at 4 on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk about a great tour he's kicking off. Jeff McMahon will join me at 4 o'clock. For CJ being the new co-host of the Backstage Pass, so excited to welcome him in and get him going on some shows coming up next week as a guest co-host there. So excited to have you, brother, join the team. The double vinyl, best of luck with it tomorrow.
Thank you so much. All I can say is just everybody watching this, just share. We're getting ready to get out with our good buddies, JJ Longhorn. We have a whole bunch of new artists that are coming out and existing artists that are coming out with songs that we've written and we've been part of as co-writers. And there's just so much happening with us over the next 3 or 4 months. And Brandon Morrell, I can't thank you enough. Chris Krause and everybody on the team. Jeff, the whole team, thank you guys for welcoming me in. I promise you next time we'll be in a more sound, conducive environment and where we can have this. And seriously, I take it very serious, but I did not want to miss this adventure today. And so without further ado, thank you guys for inviting us in. Brandon, I wish all of us the best for the Backstage Pass. The future of our success is contingent on every fan and every one of you guys that are out there listening to us right now. So please keep showing up the love. Please keep showing up. We love seeing you guys in the seats, and it means the world to me. God bless. Have a very, very beautiful day. And
I'll play some of that golf till feels us a happy birthday, no doubt. And definitely we're gonna have some fun here as we sign off again tomorrow. John Oates of Hall & Oates coming on the show at 4 o'clock with yours truly and Jeff McMahon. I know the ice cream is good and all that good stuff there too.
Yeah, I got
at the same time. He's getting another one too back here. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Backstage Pass. Next week, regular episodes of Outlaw Fantasy. Thanks to Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you guys soon. Until then, have a great evening.
Hey guys, I want